My name is Alyssa Anderson, and this is The Interview Project. On October 30th at 10 a.m., I had the opportunity to interview Bree Barris, the Director of Fraternity and Sorority Life at Kennesaw State University. Bree is in a very busy season right now, personally and professionally. Between homecoming week, fraternity and sorority initiations, and moving into a new house, she graciously talked with me for over an hour early Monday morning. In fact, she was so drained and had so much on her plate, she said she probably wouldn't have come into work if it wasn't for our rescheduled meeting time. I have a great love and respect for Greek life, especially at Kennesaw State. I found my home here. I met some of my best friends. I had people who truly challenged and believed in me as a leader, and I was constantly reminded that this was the safest place to fail. Serving on the leadership team of Delta Phi Epsilon and as president for 2 terms, I learned one of the most valuable lessons I've learned in life. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. I worked very closely with numerous departments at KSU as a student leader, but especially the Office of Fraternity and Sorority Life. However, I hadn't gotten to meet Bree yet. Bree has served in this role for a year and a half. She came to KSU with an extensive background in higher education and student affairs. This is a timeline of Bree's professional and educational journey. She graduated from the University of North Georgia in 2004 with a Bachelor of Business Administration in Business Management and Marketing. During her time as a student, she was an involved sister of Delta Zeta and served as Vice President of Membership Development. Bree said she never thought about higher education as a career. However, as graduation grew closer, one of the staff members at UNG said, "You know, I get paid to do this job." From 2006 to 2008, Bree pursued her Master of Science in Higher Education and Student Affairs at Florida State University. During this time, she served as a grad assistant and volunteered with Delta Zeta at FSU. I was very shocked to hear that Bree fell out of love with Greek life during this time. In fact, before this experience, she said that when she was trying to go back to volunteer at her home chapter, they didn't respect alum, and she was very saddened by this. I actually have a similar experience, however, not with the active members or international headquarters, but with the advisory board instead. After earning her master's degree, she landed a job as Assistant Director of Orientation and New Student Programs at Clayton State University. By early 2011, she was without a job, and she knew she had to get started on her PhD at this time. And shortly after, she began her PhD in Counseling and Student Personnel Services at the University of Georgia. During this time, she served as Assistant Director of Residence Life and Greek Affairs at Oglethorpe University until 2012, which, with her feelings towards Greek life, she was reluctant to take, but they told her it was part of the job. Take it or leave it. Her job eventually became the coordinator of Greek Affairs. During this time, she got involved with Pi Chi fraternity and eventually left her role at Oglethorpe to serve as Pi Chi's Director of Growth and Alumni Services for 3 years. She loved this job, but she missed the regular, ongoing connections with students and was ready to get back to a campus. Since then, she has earned her PhD and began serving as Director of Fraternity and Sorority Life at Kennesaw State. Interestingly enough, she heard about this opening from the former director, Jennifer Morales. Bree gave me a lot of personal input into her current position. When I asked her the best and worst parts of her current job, she said she could sum it up in one word: the students. I always think this is funny when I hear a higher educational professional say this. I guess this is the honest truth for many people. It can be so rewarding to develop and grow students as leaders, but it's not always rainbows and sunshine. She said she has made connections with students where she is the first phone call when they hear someone has been diagnosed with cancer. She's the first shoulder they call to lean on. On the other hand, they can just be a pain. She mentioned numerous times that within 1 month, this past month, 2 fraternities have broken rules and are on cease and desist. Bree enjoys her job. She says it's rewarding. However, she knows outside perceptions are hard to break. She said that her parents never tell anyone she is the director of fraternity and sorority life. They leave out the details. Her stepmom is an advocate for social justice, and Bree proclaimed the most piercing statement I've heard about Greek life. I guess it made it more piercing coming from her position and someone that was actually right in front of me. She said, "We're socially unjust. We're elitist. We are racially discriminatory. We are mental abusers. And we kill people." Obviously, she's in it to combat this, but she believes this is the truth. However, she also backs this up, saying she understands that people also find their families in Greek life. They become leaders, and some of them truly leave better people. When I asked what her future aspirations are, she said, I don't know anymore. I need to start publishing and probably move to the academia side." She also claimed that she is in this position for at least 5 years. This is the time that she thinks it will take to begin to make a difference in our community. She jokingly mentioned that she didn't know why she hadn't gone into career services in the first place. She said they probably never get phone calls at 8 p.m. on a Thursday night with bad news. Her advice for me was to get involved within associations and student affairs, paying my own way to go to conferences when I had to. She said she often did this when she was unemployed because you have to network. She said it's all about who you know. On a foundation of strong fraternal values and a community mindset, the mission of the Department of Fraternity and Sorority Life is to empower members of the Greek community through shared commitments of practice to demonstrate lifelong learning, civic responsibility, advocacy for safe environments and healthy lifestyles, and a commitment to values-based leadership and decision-making. The 3 values within the Office of Fraternity and Sorority Life at Kennesaw State are accountability, courageous leadership, and stewardship. The team in the Office of Fraternity and Sorority Life is consisted of Bree, the director, 2 coordinators, Ryan Kamen and Amy Wardle, and 1 administrative assistant, Mallory Drake, a newly approved position that Bree is very proud of. Bree advises the Infraternity Council and 5 chapters. Ryan Kamen advises the Multicultural Greek Council, College Panhellenic Council, and 12 chapters. Amy Wardle advises the National Panhellenic Council and 15 chapters. Before I touch on the current financial stance of the Office of Fraternity and Sorority Life at KSU, I'd like to revert back to our 3 values: accountability, courageous leadership, and stewardship. I find it a bit ironic these are the values of the Office of Fraternity and Sorority Life, as we had a major issue with our former director, who was indicted on a charge of stealing $41,000 from us. Yes, I say us because we, as a community, were greatly hurt and impacted by this. Bree touched on this occasionally, stating that Jennifer Morales' leadership truly broke our community. She also stated that they are currently fine in regards to their financial status, and I tread pretty lightly on probing questions during this portion of the interview, as this hits the heart pretty hard for me. However, I read on Bree's LinkedIn that she manages a $49,000 budget. She said they are currently only in need of auxiliary money for food and events. She said they will probably do this by advertising. She also said she is not on any sort of chapter accounts, as the chapters are self-governing. This conversation led right into the biggest accomplishment, difficulty, and change during the last 5 years. In 2 words, Jennifer Morales. I know it sounds harsh, but this is the truth. She even admitted they were friends before, but she now sees how broken our community is because of Jennifer's leadership, and they have not spoken since the first AJC article came out. And this was soon after Jennifer encouraged Bree to apply for the position and even prepped her saying that they would ask her about her experience managing a budget. However, I do know from a personal experience that Jennifer made an atmosphere of the Office of Fraternity and Sorority Life versus the actual chapters. She didn't enforce her own rules, and things spiraled. Things spiraled quickly in a meeting I had to have with her before things truly unraveled, as I challenged her practices during the midst of a crazy recruitment season. Bree talked for a long time about how hard it is to manage being an advisor and the director. She said she should have the final say in everything, but oftentimes the council will trump her decision. She says it's hard because even when she has expertise in areas like expansion and growth, she has had experiences at KSU where her decision isn't the final decision. It has to be hard work in an atmosphere like this. I know this is a tough balance because when I was serving as president, at the end of the day, you're a sister first and you're there to serve them. But there are tough decisions that have to be made that may not sound good in the moment, but will be beneficial and the best in the long term. Bree's major plan is to bring the community back together and establish trust in the office. She said the major issue or challenge would be to combat social injustice and change the status quo. She said our biggest problem is that we have an "we're not that bad" mentality at KSU. Like, oh, we're not Penn State bad. She says this is dangerous. Her example is that it's like going 75 in a 70-mile-per-hour zone. When you're barely speeding, you're not looking for cops, and something really bad can result, like a really bad wreck or a speeding ticket. And chapters that are aware that they are really bad are like going 85 in a 70. When you're going 85 in a 70, you're going to be looking for cops, and they're going to be more careful and cautious as a result. I added a good amount of reactions throughout the presentation, but overall, I left thankful and shocked. Thankful that she gave me the time to discuss something I am very passionate about from the source that truly built me up. I was also shocked that she wasn't really gung-ho on Greek life. I think this may have been her shoe-in to KSU though. With the devastation that had just happened and change needing to happen, she seems to be the right candidate to try to rebuild some broken trust, and she can do that since she has seen numerous ups and downs and all sorts of sides of Greek life. I believe I would enjoy working for Bree and for the department. She would challenge me, and the fact that she wants to build our community up, I'm 110% for it. Thank you guys for your time.